Ah, the Montblanc 149. Some people love it, some people hate it. And you know what? There's reasons for both. It's still an icon though, you can't deny it. An absolute benchmark of fountain pen technology. It is easily the fountain pen from which all others are measured. So join me today, won't you, as I discuss 5 things I love about the Montblanc 149 and 5 things I hate. So the Montblanc 149, let's put it into context. I personally have 3 of these, 2 of the regular line and a 100-year anniversary pen as well. This fountain pen as a Meisterstück goes all the way back to 1924 when the Meisterstück line was initiated. However, the 149 in its present form, more or less, was released in 1952. Now think of 1952. Montblanc is a German brand. So we are speaking of post-World War II Germany. There's a big investment in the country to revive it. It is trying to demonstrate that it still has the potential to be an economic powerhouse, that it can still lead in technology. And Montblanc itself wants to reassert its place as the pinnacle of fountain pen brand. So what do? They release their masterpiece, this stupendous pen of very large proportions, which we don't think so much of now, but think of it in the context of the early 1950s. It's quite a large pen. It is very girthy. It was designed to make a statement of reliability, of technology, of an incredible fill system. It has an authoritative presence, and that is, once again, intentional. Montblanc is signaling that they're back, that they have a flagship pen, and that their best days are ahead of them. Now, the early Montblanc 149s had some features that we would drool over now if only we could have them. Celluloid bodies, can you imagine how brilliant that would be? And ebonite feeds. Oh, it'd be so fantastic. But sadly, by the mid-1960s, this was phased out for what is now called their precious resin, which I think is probably better expressed as their proprietary resin. But regardless, that material is now brought forward into the current pen with a few tweaks along the way. Now, think of this in the 1980s as it became more of a symbol of not just corporate success, but also corporate excess. I mean, this fountain pen would not have been out of place on the desk of Gordon Gekko, nor would it have been out of place in the hands of Patrick Bateman. It has that certain 1980s excessiveness about it. There's nothing subtle about the Montblanc 149. When you set it down on a desk, it has immense desk presence. When you use it, people do notice. There are few logos in the fountain pen world that are universally recognized, but Montblanc is surely one of them. So where does the 149 designation come from? As near as my research tells me, the 1 stands for it being a top-tier pen in their lineup. The 4 stands for the fact that it's a piston filler, and the 9 is the size of the nib, a quite large, incredibly impressive nib that we will speak about in much more detail. And it's up to you whether or not you think I am going to be positive about the nib or negative. Do I love it? Do I hate it? Or some combination thereof? I think another interesting thing about Montblanc and this pen in particular is that it pretty much hasn't changed since 1952. You would certainly recognize the 149-ness of any Montblanc 149 that you would encounter after 1952. And Montblanc itself, as a pen brand, has been fairly stable over that time as well. So now let's go through some stats before I get into the details that I love and those that I hate. Okay, let's talk about general dimensions. The pen itself is 147 millimeters long from top to bottom. Uncapped, it is 132 millimeters long, which is nearly a perfect size, and it weighs about 32 grams, which is a fantastic weight for such a sizable and impressive pen. Now let's go down some of the other features. It is a piston fill pen with the piston fill knob here at the end, separated by a band of gold. These are typically trimmed out in gold or platinum. Both of mine are in gold. My 100-year is trimmed differently. The nib, it's two-toned with yellow and white gold, and it is a sight to behold. It is perhaps the most beautiful nib out there, or certainly one of them. The feed is your regular plastic feed, but very well made, very lovely. The cap is a screw cap, very effective, and of course, you do get the Montblanc logo at the top and a beautiful clip that works splendidly. The nib sizes are extra fine, fine, medium, broad, sometimes double broad, and you can custom order some others. You can also take advantage of a nib exchange if you get a nib that you're not satisfied with, or you decide that you want something different. I hear different time frames for that kind of turnaround. You can either go through your local boutique or mail it back if you want to take advantage of that. I will say one thing about Montblanc: love them or hate them, they do want you to have a very enjoyable writing experience and a very enjoyable experience with the brand. They're not a brand that hides behind fake scarcity that makes you wait in line before you get into one of their boutiques. And when you go into their boutiques, they treat you very well. And they just want you to be happy. So if you spend the kind of money that you need to spend for one of these pens, and that is over $1,000, actually knocking on $1,200 fairly commonly, then you had better be happy with it. So if you do buy one, please don't settle for anything less than perfection. A few other points about the pen: it does have an ink view window. It's easily overlooked if it's filled, as this one is currently, and it has about a 1.4 to 1.6 milliliter capacity, which is a lot of ink, so that will keep you writing for quite some time. But it has an ink view window that's more like a suggestion that you're running out of ink than any real functionality. But it's very charming and it has that retro allure, so I'm a big fan. It also always, pretty much, if you encounter one in the last, 30 years or so, it's going to have a serial number on it somewhere, and the current iteration has it up on the top ring here. Very well done, I guess. I mean, it's a serial number. I guess it's nice that it has a serial number. Perhaps you can date it by that someday. So I've certainly made quite a few videos on the Montblanc 149 over the years. Some are extremely complimentary and others less so. So I feel like I am particularly qualified to both criticize and praise this venerable pen. So with that set aside, let's get into the 5 things I absolutely love about the Montblanc 149 Meisterstück. Okay, the first thing that I absolutely love about this fountain pen is that it is truly a timeless and iconic design that does not chase trends and simply is what it is. And I do adore that. It has this certain mid-century allure. It certainly fits in with that aesthetic of like an Eames chair. It has that Don Draper presence to it, and I love that. I love an icon, and this truly endures, I think, for many of us. When we think of the term fountain pen and we conjure something into our minds, it is often this very pen. It is the essence of fountain pens and is just a brilliant design that suits many hands and many writers and situations. Now, it does have a bit of a businessy feel to it. It has quite a bit of desk presence. It could almost be a prop on a desk in a pen holder if you're trying to show it off. But I really think it shines in use, and that timeless design does inspire you. There's something about it. There's something about something that hasn't changed since the 1950s that gives it that much more allure and plugs you into that stream of history. It just simply works, and it works well, and you own a true icon of the fountain pen world. And I think that's why it's so popular with so many people, even begrudgingly. Even if you don't buy it brand new, but you have to have it, so you pick one up secondhand or on Facebook Marketplace or something. There's a way to get one, but the design, the proportions, the length, the thickness, the screw cap, the way the piston filler works, it's just a true iconic classic and a true paragon of fountain pen design, proportion, and balance. So yes, do I love it for what it is intrinsically, the matter that's here in my hand, the sum of which makes this Montblanc 149, the summation of gold and resin and everything else? Yes, I do. It is assembled brilliantly, and it's an iconic classic. The second thing that I absolutely love about the Montblanc 149 is this absolutely incredibly impressive 18 karat gold, two-tone yellow and white gold nib. It is a stunner. It's also fantastic to write with, so let's talk about it. So if you look at it, you get 4,810 on the nib, which is the height of Montblanc in meters. Just a nice homage to the brand. It also says M, I joke, for medium, but it's for Montblanc right in the center. And you get 750 for the purity of 18 karat gold and beautiful scroll work around it. So these nibs are hand finished, hand ground, hand polished. Some might say over polished, because the intent of this nib is a little different than some other fountain pen brands. Take Pilot, for instance. Pilot Custom 823, you get a lot of feedback. It balances smoothness and feedback so well, that nib, we all know. Here, it's something else. It's tuned to be wet, to be a gusher, to be forgiving, more forgiving than precise. And I think that's why a lot of us like it. It's a very forgiving nib. You don't have to obsess too much about your attack angle. It accommodates different angles of writing and approach, and gives you a smooth, blanketed, comfy, soft writing experience while you write with it. It's brilliant. It's soft. You don't feel a lot of imperfections in the paper. You don't get that feedback vibration. You don't get any kind of transmission of the road, so to speak. It's all slathered over in a very pillowy, slick, beautiful, smooth writing experience, which, by the way, I adore. I love wet expressive pens, Pelikan M1000, Schaefer Legacy among my wetter writing experiences that I adore. You certainly get that here. Now, the other thing that's more interesting too to me, and this is a fairly recent thing, but they are actually tuning these for sound, which is neat. It's sort of like the exhausts on a supercar. Ferrari literally has acoustic engineers that manage the sound of a Ferrari. The actual sound is part of the brand. Well, Montblanc picked up on that. Maybe that was their inspiration, maybe it was something else. But they want that scribing noise, that beautiful sound of a nib just scrolling its way across the page to be tuned to Montblanc specifications. And that's interesting. The other thing is that these are handmade, hand finished. I would say a lot of the artistry is right here in the nib. And when you get a good one, and you should insist on a good one, it is a brilliant, enjoyable, wet, smooth, fun, expressive writing experience. It's reliable, no skips, no false starts, just pure inky joy. And why wouldn't I love that? Another thing I absolutely love about the Montblanc 149 is its ink capacity. 1.4 to 1.6 milliliters is quite a bit of ink. It's ink to spare. It's ink you could waste. It's ink you could write constantly. It's ink that you can journal with for hours without worrying about falling short and interrupting your train of thought. It's ink that is nearly superfluous, and I love having that kind of ink at my disposal constantly. I like to know that I can write for hours and just express myself and not have to worry of falling short. It's also brilliant if you carry it around with you. You don't have to refill at a service station, or rather an ink station. I personally stash ink around my life. I have ink in my desk at my office. I have ink at home. I have ink wherever I need ink. But it's awfully nice to know that I can go a very, very long time without filling this fountain pen. So in that way, it's very reliable as a writer because it's going to hold that ink and it rarely dries out. I've left these for months, gone back, picked it up, written with it, and it writes perfectly every time. So I do appreciate a lot of ink. And even though I can be ink promiscuous and I do have a short ink attention span, as you know, I often put blue in my Montblanc pens because I use these at work quite a bit. And we've gone back to signing our names in blue on our original documents in financial services where I work. So it is a blast, always knowing that I have enough ink to carry me through the week. Another thing I absolutely love about the Montblanc 149 and even Montblanc pens in general is that it has been around as a brand for over 100 years. And it's been purchased by corporate owners, but it's never gone bankrupt, gone out of business, and been resuscitated. So there is an unbroken thread going back for over 100 years, and this going back to 1952, which is absolutely brilliant. I love a good story. I love heritage. I love tradition, and I love that this pen has endured and its ownership has as well. It has been a success for a long time. That's not easy. Any brand runs into troubles. It's not easy to be a success for that long, and I really appreciate that about Montblanc. Another thing I absolutely adore about the Montblanc 149 is its place in popular culture. Sure, in reality, it is one of the true benchmarks, one of the greatest fountain pens, one of the most aspirational fountain pens out there, and that translates to its place in popular culture as well. Have you seen Ripley on Netflix? If you haven't, you need to watch that. It is, of course, the Patricia Highsmith, talented Mr. Ripley story, brought in stunning black and white, probably one of the most anxious, intense viewing experiences of my life. But each frame of that series, and I believe it was at least 6 episodes, is absolutely gorgeous, like an old picture from an old Leica, just incredible cinematography. But within that, the Montblanc 149, although you never see the logo, but it's truly that pen, is sort of the focal point that Tom Ripley just lusts after from Dickie Greenleaf. He sees this pen as the epitome of good taste, of high culture, of everything he feels he lacks in his empty void of a soul, and that he wants to have, and he feels that some of the status and power that Dickie Greenleaf has will be conferred on him. So it's a really interesting way to express all that in shorthand, simply by using the Montblanc 149, a stolen pen. It's that simple, but it works, and it only works because the Montblanc is such an icon. Or perhaps think of Donna Tartt's masterpiece, one of my favorite books, The Secret History, where the classics professor has a whole can of Montblanc 149s on his desk. He's got a certain insouciance about it. He's not the least bit worried about them walking away. The students are using them. They're just sort of there. That's a really interesting way to characterize this professor. Suffice it to say that once again, the Montblanc 149 has a very integral part in a story where all of that history, all of its associations are immediately brought to bear simply by it appearing on the desk of this professor. So I absolutely love that about this pen. It's just that neat. All right, here's one bonus thing I absolutely love about this pen. I love how it feels when I write with it. I feel like the girthiness, it just allows my hand to relax. It makes it a little easier for me to steer it across the page. It's also the perfect length. I feel like posting this makes it ridiculously long, makes it a little back heavy, so I don't post it. So I just love the actual writing experience of the Montblanc 149, and isn't that the most important thing of all? I love writing with it. I love looking at the nib as it shines. It's just an immersive, incredibly beautiful, sort of seductive experience. I love it. I love it so much. So I always thought the opposite of love is apathy. But it's hard to be apathetic about the Montblanc 149. I would say its haters are about as passionate as those that love it. So now let's indulge them and get into the 5 things that I absolutely hate about the Montblanc 149. Okay, the first thing I really hate about the Montblanc 149, maybe the easiest thing to hate, and it's very hard to defend this, and that is it's roughly $1,200 US price tag. Wow. That is big money for cost of entry here. And I'm a big proponent of if you want something, that's what it costs. But it's very, very difficult with all the great fountain pens out there. The Karen from Waterman, which you can get for $260. Even Hungdian pens that are $35 that write absolutely brilliantly. Or my beloved St. Dupont pen that was $225. Which writes every bit as great as this does. $1,200. Wow. I don't know if I would ever recommend anyone pay that kind of money for a fountain pen. Unless you're lucky enough like I was to find it on sale in France for about half of that, or to buy it secondhand, which still might be the absolute best way to get one. Then it has a whole story of its own, whatever adventures it had been through before it got to you. But I really can't rationalize $1,200 except to say it's what it costs. And if you want it, that's what you need to pay. If you want it brand new, if you say, is it a value? history, R&D, whatever it is, base materials, none of that adds up to $1,200 if I'm being honest. And they had better be very, very nice to you at the boutique when you buy it for that kind of money. So yes, I absolutely hate the cost of this fountain pen. Okay, the second thing I hate about this fountain pen is also one of the things that I love, and that is this nib. And why do I hate it? Sadly, because their QC has been lacking lately, and if you're paying that kind of money, it had better be perfect. And sadly, sometimes these nibs are going out with imperfections. I've had one myself, in fact this one. Kirk Spear fixed it for me, finished it off, it writes brilliantly now. But for that kind of money, this should have been perfect, which is why I say if you're going to buy one, do not settle for anything less than perfect. Make sure they give you a good one, insist upon it. If you get it home, write with it, and it's not up to your standards, take advantage of the nib swap and keep doing it until you get one that's good. I am hearing quite a bit of stories from people whom I respect, and I've had the experience myself. The QC is inconsistent. And even if you dip one in the boutique, half of the time they go in the back and they grab a new one for you. So who's to say it's exactly the same? So sadly, their artistry is not always up to par. Their QC, their checks, whatever it is, pens are slipping through that are simply not up to the standards of something that's a masterpiece. And so please, don't settle for anything less. And I truly hate bad nibs. I hate bad nibs when I spend $10 for them, and I hate them especially when I'm blowing almost $1,200 for them. So please do not settle. The only way they'll change their practices if we keep mentioning it and if we keep sending them back and insisting upon perfection. Another thing I really hate about this pen is how they pitch it as precious resin. I do think proprietary resin is more accurate, and I've heard stories that it's a translation error to call it precious resin. But regardless, it is a type of plastic. Now sure, it is engineered, it's resin. It is specifically made to have a certain warmth, to not be so sweaty in your hands. It does have a nice quality. It feels very, very nice. They're always trying creative ways to sort of get you to forget that it's made out of plastic. Their latest is by saying that there's a flame that goes up the pen if you have a ring light and you reflect in it, and any shiny pen will do the exact same thing. But hey, marketing's marketing. We all understand that. I particularly do. I'm very susceptible to marketing. I love a good story. I love to be seduced by marketing, and I will say that Montblanc has some of the best marketing I've ever seen. I've spoken about it on this channel before. There are videos of them cavorting around Italy and writing in their journals outside under trees. It's very seductive for someone like me. I love those moments in my own life, and it resonates very strongly with me. Style, confidence, journaling in a beautiful place. All the things I love best about life. But precious resin, oh boy. Yeah, I don't like that at all. I do like how shiny they polish this up though. It has a certain piano black inkiness to it. Now, in some senses, it lacks imperfections. That can sort of be a negative. If it had a bit more of an acrylic feel to it with some depth and color, that would be one thing. This is certainly polished like a musical instrument without flaw. They do a brilliant job of it, but yeah, precious resin. It's a plastic pen, guys. It's nice that they have their own plastics, but it's hard to really romanticize it. Another thing I do hate about the Montblanc 149 is that it's a very large pen, so it's not suitable to all hands. And I wish it were, because this is one I want to share. I love the writing experience with this, and I get that if you have smaller hands, or if you don't like to have your grip a bit more spread out, it might not be the most comfortable pen for you, and you may not choose it. So it does sort of narrow down the pool of people that will actually like and enjoy this pen because it is so large. Even in the fact that it has so much presence. You talk about desk presence. This pen has a lot. It's big, it's girthy, and it has that symbol that carries a lot of associations. So, you know, big fat pens are not for everyone. I adore it. I have larger hands, and sometimes I have trouble with my grip. This one feels very easy for me. Very nice to glide it. I have a nice supportive finger beneath, two on the side. Does the trick for me, easy to write with, very pleasant, but it may not work for you. But at least at 32 grams, we can all agree that it's in that Goldilocks range of perfect weighted pens. So that bit is very nice, but I wish I could share it with you if you have smaller hands. And my final hate, and I hate to be so negative. I usually don't deal in hates, but you know, this is an intellectual exercise, so I think you get it. But I'm not a big fan of the logo. I'm not a big fan of sort of the Montblanc associations, to be honest. They are a little douchey, if I'm being honest. It doesn't stop me from loving them. I actually love when Montblanc has the courage to riff on their own logo, like they did with the Egyptomania, where it's presented in brass and it's aged and it's different. With this, it carries a lot of weight with that white glacier star there at the end when it's sitting on your desk. It certainly makes it an object of desire. I wouldn't leave this unguarded if you're out in public journaling somewhere. I'm sure it could be easily liberated from you if you left it on a table or whatnot, because it has value, and these actually do retain their values relative to other fountain pens, which aren't really known for retaining value. But Montblanc certainly do. So the associations with this, and part of it comes out of that whole yuppiness and 80s excess and buying a pen just to impress people, which is the last reason you should buy something. I mean, I guess buy it for whatever reason you like, it's your money. But me personally, I love history, I love stories, I love the feel of things. I like to tap into these kind of fantasies in my own head, and I get that. What I don't care about, never have cared about, is impressing anyone. If I impress someone, I want it to be for the content of my character, and that they're impressed at how much I love my family or the things I've done with my life, not because I own something. And that is one of the most shallow things I can imagine. So the Glacier Star just has those associations like you're trying to impress people, even if you're not. I do love this pen overall. I do recommend it overall, but not at $1,200. And it is something to be aware of, that this Glacier Star carries quite a bit of its own weight. So, what do you think of my 5 reasons why I love it and 5 reasons why I hate it? Do you have more to add? I'd love to read them. Please load up the comments with your criticisms and praises for the Montblanc 149. It's a very polarizing pen, and that makes it kind of fun too. So if you've reached this point in this video, please hit the subscribe button. I would certainly appreciate it. And if you want to support the channel even more, I have membership as well. And for Illuminati and Cognoscenti members, we have a pen pal group. So I'd love to see you behind the scenes. So I make new videos all the time, and I have a live show as well. So I can promise you, we'll see each other again very, very soon, further up the road. So take care, stay inspired, and keep writing.